How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, March 19th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode, I'm going to preview the second round of the 2022 men's NCAA basketball tournament, as this road to the Final Four sees 32 teams that have either won yesterday or the day before. They are still competing, all virtually in the rat race to see who out of the 34 will be the 16 teams to advance to the Sweet 16 next weekend. After the round one, which were yesterday and today, and after the round two, which will be today and tomorrow, next weekend we will see the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 rounds, and the next weekend we will see the Final Four in the National Championship. And for right now, I'm going to preview every single matchup by giving a quick insight into how each of these teams got here. And I'm going to start this by looking at the defending champs, the Baylor Bears. They're going to be facing off against 8-seed North Carolina today at 12 o'clock on CBS. This game is going to be held today in Fort Worth, Texas at 12:10. Looking at the two teams that made it here, the defending champ Baylor Bears were able to make it here after they ended up beating 16-seed Norfolk State 85-49. They would go on to win this particular game by 36 points. This would come after they went on to outscore Norfolk State by 20 in the second half, after they outscored Norfolk State by 16 in the first half. In this game, Baylor would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Matthew Mayer, in order to make it here. On the other end of this matchup, the 8-seed North Carolina Tar Heels would end up beating the 9-seed Marquette Golden Eagles 95-63 by 32 points to make it here. They were led by their transfer, their forward, Brady Manick, as he scored 28 points and 11 rebounds in order to help North Carolina make it here. Like I said, this will be a very big matchup that many people will be looking forward to today. Taking a look at the second matchup that's going to be within this region, they are going to be facing off against the winner between 4-seed UCLA and 5-seed St. Mary's today. 4-seed UCLA will enter this matchup. This will come after UCLA ended up winning their matchup. They beat Akron by 4. They won 57-53. In this particular matchup, UCLA was led in scoring by their starting guard, Tiger Campbell, as he had 16 points and 5 assists. Looking at their opponent, the St. Mary's Gaels would, of course, enter this round after they ended up beating Indiana by 29. St. Mary's in this matchup would be led by their starting guard, Lucas Johnson. And like I said, this matchup itself will be taking place in Portland, Oregon, after St. Mary's and UCLA were able to pick up their individual wins in Oregon. Staying within this bracket, the 2-seed Kentucky Wildcats ended up getting upset by 15-seed St. Peter's, and St. Peter's is going to end up facing 7-seed Murray State tonight at 7:45 at TBS. Taking a look at where this matchup is going to be in Indianapolis. Looking at how both teams were able to make it to this round, 15-seed St. Peter's was able to beat 2nd-seed Kentucky in overtime, as they would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Darrell Banks III. He finished with 27 points of his own. And then their opponents, the Murray State Racers, who of course were very solid team beginning to end within the Ohio Valley Conference. They would go on to be led in scoring by KJ Williams, their starting forward. They would also be led in scoring by Trey Hannibal, their guard off the bench. They each had 18 points. So this will be a very solid matchup that many people are looking forward to, just to see if St. Peter's even makes it into the Sweet 16. And then looking at the matchup that's going to be taking place tomorrow within this bracket at 8:40 on TNT, the 3-seed Purdue Boilermakers are going to face off against 6-seed Texas in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Looking at the teams that were able to at least make it to this round itself, Texas in its round was able to beat 11-seed Virginia Tech, who ended up winning the ACC tournament. Texas won this game by 8 after they were led in scoring by their starting guard, Andrew Jones. And the Texas Longhorns are going to have to face off against the 3rd-seed Purdue Boilermakers, who ended up being 14-seed Yale by 22 in their matchup. 3rd-seed Purdue would be led in scoring by their sophomore starting guard, Jaden Ivey, out of South Bend. And like I said, this will be the last matchup, at least within this bracket. It's the only matchup within the East region that's going to be taking place tomorrow. Looking right across the way and seeing who they're going to be facing off with in the Midwest region, the number 1 seed in that bracket, Kansas, will be facing off against 9-seed Creighton. That game will be at 2:40 tomorrow. This game will be in Fort Worth after Kansas was able to beat Texas Southern, a team that was able to play in and make it into this tournament. Kansas would end up beating Texas Southern as soon as they made it. Kansas would end up winning this game by 27 points in order to make it into the next round of this tournament. Taking a look at how they were able to fare, at least within the box score, they would be led in scoring this game by their by their guard off the bench, Remy Martin, as he had 15 points. And of course, looking at their opponents in this matchup, the Creighton Blue Jays were able to make it here after beating 8 seed San Diego State in overtime. They will be led in scoring by their freshman starting guard, Trey Alexander, as his and one in overtime would be the big play that Creighton needed to advance to this round in the very first place. And then taking a look at who they could be facing in the round of 16. If they win this game, they'd have to face off against the winner between 4th seed Providence and 12th seed Richmond. They're going to be facing off today at 6:10 in Buffalo, New York. Taking a look first at how Providence got here, the 4 seed was able to make it into this round after Providence was able to beat 13 seed San Diego State by 9. The 4th seed Priors were led in scoring by their guard Al Durham and their forward Noah Horschler, as they each had 13 points on the day. And then, of course, taking a look at their opponents, 12th seed Richmond was able to make it here after they upset 5 seed Iowa by 4 points. Richmond's leading scorer was their starting guard, Jacob Gilliard, who played all 40 minutes of this game. Of course, Richmond and Providence is going to be at 6 o'clock in Buffalo, New York, like I just said. Looking at the other matchups in Milwaukee, looking at the games that are going to be taking place tomorrow, the first of the two will feature 3rd seed Wisconsin and 11th seed Iowa State. Taking a look at how Wisconsin was able to make it here, they were able to win their first matchup of the day, beating 14 seed Colgate by 7. They won 67-70 after they were led in scoring by the Big Ten Player of the Year, Johnny Davis. He finished with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals. And then, of course, taking a look at their opponent, the Iowa State Cyclones would, of course, make it to this round after beating 6 seed LSU 59-54. They would be led in scoring by their starting guard, I guess in this particular matchup, Tyrese Hunter. He will go on to finish with 23 points and 5 steals for himself. Just to get a sense of when this matchup is going to be, like I said, 6:10 at 3:20. It's going to be in Milwaukee tomorrow. They're going to be playing against the winner between 2 seed Auburn and 10 seed Miami. They're going to be playing tomorrow at 7:45 in Greenville, South Carolina. Taking a look first at how Auburn was able to make it here. Auburn would make it here after beating 15 seed Jacksonville State yesterday by 19. They won 80-61. They were led in scoring by their starting freshman Jabari Smith, who also even had a poster dunk, which would be the best play of the day. And looking at their opponents, 10 seed Miami would end up beating 7 seed USC by 2 in the final seconds, thanks to the go-ahead free throws they would knock down. They were led in scoring by their starting guard, Isaiah Wong. He had 22 points and fouled out in 24 minutes. So this matchup between Miami and Auburn will be taking place at 7:45 tomorrow. That's going to be half of the round of 32. Taking a look now in the West region, where, of course, Gonzaga is the number 1 seed in that bracket. They were able to make it into this round after they were able to beat 16 seed Georgia State. This matchup took place in Portland, and in this matchup, 1 seed Gonzaga would win by 21 points. They would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Drew Timme. He had 32 points and 13 rebounds on the day. And then they will be facing off against the Memphis Tigers at 9:40 tonight in Portland, Oregon, as Memphis was able to beat Boise State the other day. Memphis would end up winning this game by 11 after they were led in scoring by their starting forward, DeAndre Williams, and even their elite forward, Imani Bates, was able to make his return to college basketball. Taking a look at the other matchup that's going to be taking place today in the round of 32 within the West region, the 4th seed Arkansas Razorbacks are going to be facing off against the 12th seed New Mexico State Aggies. 4th seed Arkansas, or this matchup is going to be played in Buffalo at 8:40. Fourth seed Arkansas was able to make it into this round after they were able to pull off their win versus Vermont. They won by 4 points. They were led in scoring by their starting guard, Stanley Umude. And then their opponents, the New Mexico State Aggies, were able to beat 5 seed UConn by 7. In this matchup, they would go on to be led in scoring by their starting guard, Teddy Allen, who I think had the best performance of the day on the first day. So I think even in that regard, I think that Arkansas has to watch out a little bit. Now, taking a look at the matchups that are going to be taking place tomorrow in the West region for the round of 32. The first of the two will be the 2-7 matchup between my alma mater, the Duke Blue Devils, and the 7-seed Michigan State Spartans. The second seed Duke Blue Devils were able to make it into this round after they were able to pull off a 17-point win over 15-seed Cal State Fullerton, as the Blue Devils were led in scoring by their freshman forward, Paolo Banchero. He finished with 17 points and 10 rebounds for the day. Their opponents, Michigan State, were able to beat 10th seed Davidson right after, as this matchup saw Michigan State win by 1. They were led in scoring by their starting forward, Joey Hauser. The matchup between Duke and Michigan State will be played today at 5:15 in Greenville, South Carolina. They will face off against the winner between 3rd seed Texas Tech and 11th seed Notre Dame. Notre Dame, one of the play-in teams, was able to face off against Alabama yesterday, and in this matchup versus Alabama, they will go on to beat Bama by 14. They will go on to be led in scoring by their starting guard, Cormac Ryan. And looking at their opponents for the day, the 3rd seed Texas Tech Red Raiders, who I believe won the Big 12, would go on to beat the 14 seed Montana State Bobcats by 35 points. They were led in scoring by Bryson Williams and Terrence Shannon Jr. in order to make it into this round. So, of course, that's the matchup there, as that will be played after Duke, Michigan, and that will be the Sweet 16 matchup within this West region. And then, of course, last but not least, looking into the South region, which is, of course, led by the Arizona Wildcats. Their game will be tomorrow. Looking at the only matchup within the South that's going where their second round matchup is going to be taking place today. It's going to feature the 3 seed Tennessee Volunteers, and it's going to feature 11 seed Michigan and Indianapolis, Indiana. Looking at how Tennessee got here, Tennessee will go on to win their first matchup versus Longwood. They beat Longwood by 32, as they would go on to be led in scoring by their starting guard out of Uruguay, Santiago Vescovi. He had 18 points, 7 assists, and 4 steals. Their opponents, the Michigan Wolverines, would make it into the second round after they won the very first game of March Madness. They beat 6 seed Colorado State, or at least they won the first game of the round of 64. They beat Colorado by 4 points, as they were outscored Colorado State by 19 in the second half. They would go on to be led in scoring by their starting center, Hunter Dickinson, out of Alexandria, Virginia. And of course, this matchup between Michigan and Tennessee is going to be taking place today at 5:15. So, of course, that's going to be a very big matchup to look forward to. Taking a look at all the other matchups that are going to be taking place tomorrow within the South region, the top seeded, or I guess the winner of Tennessee, Michigan is going to face off against the winner between Villanova and Ohio State. That matchup is going to be at 2:40 tomorrow in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Taking a look first at how Villanova got here, they would end up beating 15 seed Delaware by 20 points. Villanova would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Justin Moore, as he had 21 points and 6 assists. Their opponents, the 7 seed Ohio State Buckeyes, will enter this matchup after having beaten 10 seed Loyola Chicago by 13 points. Ohio State would be led in scoring by E.J. Liddell, as he had 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. So that's going to be that matchup. And looking at the other 2 matchups that are going to be taking place tomorrow in the South region, the top seed in this bracket is Arizona. They will face off against 9 seed TCU at 9:40 tomorrow. First seed Arizona was able to make it into this round after they would go on to beat 16 seed, they beat the 16 seed Wright State. After Wright State had played in to make it there, Arizona would beat them by 17. On the winning end, they were led in scoring by their starting guard, the Pac-12 Player of the Year, Benedict Bennedict Mathurin. He had 18 points and 5 rebounds. Their opponents, the TCU Horned Frogs, ended up beating 8th seed Seton Hall by 27 yesterday. They were led in scoring by their starting guard, Mike Miles. Looking at the last matchup within the round of 32 that's going to be taking place tomorrow, the 4th seed Illinois Fighting Illini are going to be facing off against the 5th seed Houston Cougars. This is going to be in Pittsburgh, and looking at how 4th seed Illinois was able to make it here, Illinois would end up beating 13 seed Chattanooga by only 1 point. They will be led in scoring by their starting center, Kofi Cockburn. He had 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And then, of course, looking last but not least at their opponents that would make it here, the 5th seed Houston Cougars would end up beating 12th seed UAB by 14 points. They will go on to be led by their starting guard, Kyler Edwards, as he had 25 points and 7 rebounds. But that is how we are getting ready for this round of 32. Once all 16 of today and tomorrow's matchups are done, I will come back for the Sweet 16 round that will be starting next weekend. But with that said, I do want to thank everyone in the NCAA website for helping me do all 15, 16 minutes of this piece. I do apologize for any of the names that I butchered because I do plan on eventually getting them right. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Sunday, March 20th for another episode of The Elite. So until then, I want to thank everyone once again. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.